Last week, KTM's Marvin Musquin rode to a 1-1 finish on the challenging hills at Glen Helen.
Marvin Musquin has won the first moto at Glen Helen.
Meanwhile, the defending series champ Jeremy Martin experienced a miserable day at round 2.
They've got about 5 mechanics working so hard right now. Jeremy's been standing there with his fingers crossed.
In the Premier class, Eli Tomac once again decimated the field, earning another victory and extending his championship points lead.
Eli Tomac dominates Hangtown, dominates Glen Helen.
Ryan Dungey, Justin Barsha, Ken Roxon, and the rest of the field hope to find answers today at altitude. American Motocross races at a mile high, live on MAV TV.
Just outside the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado, it's round 3 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, sanctioned by AMA Pro Racing, the True Value Thunder Valley National. Hello everyone, welcome to Lakewood, Colorado. Big crowd on hand and perfect weather for racing. Jason Wygant joined by multi-time Motocross and Supercross champion Grant Langston, and Georgia Lindsay will be in the pits controlling that for us all day long. Let's give you the big picture storylines we're going to follow today here live on MAV TV. Last week in California, big mistakes for some of our title contenders. Jeremy Martin, his team could not get the bike started before the first 250 moto, and then in the second 250 moto, he was knocked down by another rider. Had to come from last in both races to finish 7th overall. Ken Roxon, your defending 450 champion. A rough opening round, and here at round 2, stuck with Jason Anderson in the first lap. He finished 8th in that race. And Ryan Dungey had bike problems. He was 2nd in the series coming in. That would drop him to 6th in last week's first moto. So he loses some points to this guy, Eli Tomac, who has won every moto this year. He's 4-0, and this is his home state race. The Colorado kid is going to be more comfortable than anyone racing at altitude. And that's really a key factor when you come here to Colorado. This track is 6,000 feet of elevation. The bikes are going to be slower, and the breathing of these athletes is going to be affected by that as well. But it's not just Eli Tomac who's comfortable in these surroundings. Grant Langston last year, Blake Baggett, Ken Roxon won the races in the 250 and 450 classes. Can some other riders step up and get their first wins today?
Well, the two guys you just mentioned, Jason, ride here very well. They were the winners last year. Baggett's been riding pretty good this year. He's been knocking on the door of the podium. And our defending champion, Ken Roxon, in the 450 class has not been on the podium. So those are two guys I'm expecting to be on the podium here pretty soon. But in the 250 class, Jeremy Martin, we talked about it, had a rough weekend last weekend at Glen Helen, but he scored very valuable championship points. Yes, he lost the points lead to Marvin, who he was tied with, but I don't think he's stressed out. This kid has shown us he will rebound from bad luck and bad issues.
Our 250 class moto number 1 will be coming up here. The riders are taking a sight lap, and earlier Georgia Lindsay was able to catch up with a newcomer to this 250 class for the GoPro starting gate.
And the Geico Honda of Justin Bogle has now been taken place of Christian Craig. Christian, it's great to see you back. Obviously, we normally see you in the 450 class, but you are jumping on the 250 Geico Honda. How are you doing, and are you ready?
Yeah, it feels good to be back. Got the call last week, came out to California, got 3 days on the bike, and then, coming straight here. But I feel good. Obviously, I got a good qualifying time, and then, I'm just looking forward to these 2 motos. I never raced 250 outdoors, so, I'm looking forward to it.
Qualifying first place, obviously, times were great. Is it hard, though, when you haven't been in that racing, environment for a while to jump back in? And, I guess we're about to see how it's going to go.
Yeah, big time. You never know if you're ready until, that gate drops. So I've been putting in my work, though. I've been doing the motos, so I look forward to this first moto and see how it plays out.
Well, best of luck, Christian. Thank you.
Geez, the Geico Honda team just hoping he would be a solid replacement for Bogle, and he goes out and wins the Bud Light Fast Qualifying Award. Let's see how Craig does after this. Back here at Thunder Valley, a mile high of elevation, actually, and change, 6,000 feet. And we're watching the 250 class of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. Here's your format. We have 2 motos every weekend in each class. We'll combine both moto scores in each division to determine a pair of overall winners. It's a 12-round championship. This is the 3rd of the season. Jason Wygant, Grant Langston, Georgia Lindsay going to give you the action today. The 250 class, obviously that elevation saps the horsepower from the bikes. Going to have a bigger impact on this class than the 450s because these bikes are slower to start with.
Oh, absolutely. The 250s struggling for all the horsepower they can get. But let's take a look at the Kawasaki track map. Like you said, Jason, we are at the Mile High City in Colorado. Drop the gate, up the hill, drag race. Basically going to come down to horsepower and technique. Hopefully you'll round that first turn, get the motorsport.com hole shot. Then a long section that goes up the hill, past the Bud Light step up. Try and soak the bike up over this little crest, get your weight back all the way to the top. Then you make a pivot, launch back down the hill. One of the hardest braking points coming down here. Sweeping left. Great passing opportunity. Inside-outside options there. 2 step-ups. This one, guys, trying to get up past the Fly Racing triple step-up. This section a little bit different. They actually cut out that little horseshoe. They'll turn and go straight down how our camera did. And then this section here, another great passing opportunity. Very choppy. That right-hander that tightens up. Then this section, tight left, little right over the crest, over probably the biggest jump. Get it whipped out right in front of tens of thousands of fans through the sweeping rutted left. And then this part of the track, different from years past. We swing a right, join back onto the track that we normally go on. But as you'll see, a little bit different. Make that left. And then right here we saw in practice a big pile-up taking out several of our top riders over the Lucas Oil step-up. Make a left. This is a little bit different. You got to step up, sharp right-hander, get your weight back through these rollers. Then you'll pass the Fram mechanics area. One more right hand over the finish line jump. And that's a lap here.
Luckily, elevation does not affect a GoPro Hero Cam, so we're going to show you what it looked like. Adam Cianciarillo on board from practice earlier today. This
is the section I was talking about. You can see the shadows. Just listen to the RPM. They rev these 250s. Keep that RPM up. This is that section that's a little bit different. Usually they'd be making a sharp left into this sharp right before the mechanics. So kind of cool how they've changed it up. Have a look at the pit board on the left here as you pass the Fram mechanics area. These ruts are getting deep. This track very technical. This is the finish line. Obviously everyone hoping to be the first one across that. But listen to RPM, just revving that 250 Kawasaki. This is going to be good, Jason.
All right, what do you need to do to win here?
Changing track conditions. Yep. We had rain all week, and it's nice and dry, so the track has changed a lot, and I'm hoping these guys have hit the bike setting and then racing at altitude. The team, the riders, the mechanics, everyone working together and trying to get the best package. As I said, you lose about 30% of your horsepower, and then the third one, will Jeremy Martin, and can he rebound after some of the bad luck he had last week? If I'm going to take a guess, I'm going to say J-Mod. He'll be just fine today, but we got to wait and see.
I'd almost be afraid of the guy. The last thing you want to do is get him angry. That's last year's 250 champion on the number 1. Couldn't get the bike started. It was at this point 1 week ago. He was not even on the starting gate and had to come from dead last to salvage a 7th overall. Let's go racing here at Thunder Valley. And Martin is going to grab your motorsport.com hole shot. Yes, he has revenge on the mind. Right behind him, Jesse Nelson on the 28. And Marvin Muscan, your series leader, on the 25. On your left side is 3rd. So a bunch of contenders up front early.
I think J-Mart's got a little chip on his shoulder from last week. Yeah. We said, how would he do? I figured this kid, he would rebound angrier, faster, and more determined than ever. And he's got the lead. But look at this. Jesse Nelson gets to the bottom of that drop-off. He's on the outside. He's going to have to go the long way round, but the ruts aren't as deep. He makes a little bobble. Martin holds it on.
Some big bumps coming into that corner. That jostled Nelson around. Let's see if Muscan will be able to take 2nd from him. No, shuts the door on the other KTM rider. So Nelson still 2nd, Muscan 3rd. Zach Osborne, first really good start of the year we've seen from Osborne in that white Husqvarna. He is 4th. And we also want to mention that Justin Hill, 2nd overall last week at Glen Helen. Big crash in practice. Did not come to the gate here for this first moto. He is out for the day. So tough break for Hill.
Well, a real tough break to mention. He landed on another rider that was down. It was just due to a flag and not paying attention. Took a few guys down. So really a bummer for Justin Hill, and of course KTM. Never want to see stuff like that happen. We hope that he'll make a speedy recovery and be back with us next week. And right now, if you're Marvin Musquin, he has the points lead. He's got the red background on that number 25. But he really, truly hasn't outridden J-Mart this season. When
they haven't matched up. They haven't matched up.
Put it this way, he's got one rider between him and J-Mart who can see right in front of him. So if you're Marvin, you want to get around Jesse Nelson, who's no slouch. He's been riding awesome, and in fact was on the podium last week.
Yep.
So for Marvin, he wants to get around Nelson because he wants to go up to Jeremy Martin. He doesn't want J-Mart to get that confidence.
Got a pair of Geico Honda riders, Hampshire and Smith, 5th and 6th. And working on them now, that's Joey Savacci in the 37, the green bike. Kawasaki, he was very quick in practice. Savacci's 7th right now.
Yeah, you saw the 126 of John Smith there, getting a little, what we call a fishtail, coming through those ruts. Bike just moving around a little bit. But he was pulled it back, saved it on.
Send it down to Georgia. What's happening down there?
Alex Martin has pulled into the mechanics area. It looks like his whole shot device is stuck down. They just got it back up, and they're taking off the covers, the plastics right now, but it's headed straight back out. You know, that whole shot device at the beginning of a race keeps, the suspension completely stuck down. It got stuck, and they had to completely pull it apart to get it back up. He's just headed back out and past the finish line.
So basically what Georgia is saying there is what these guys do is they lock that front suspension down. They pull down the forks so it looks more like a drag car where you got the front down, the rear's up. That helps to prevent from wheeling, but the problem is they connect it to the fork guard and there's a button, and if it doesn't release and it jams, it's basically your suspension's almost like it's collapsed in the front. Yeah. That's a big issue on a track like this, especially with these downhills and braking bumps. See J-Mart bounces to the outside, just allows Nelson to catch up a couple more bike lengths. So the front few not separating at this point. You've seen a few mistakes from these guys. So this track is definitely a little bit different, Jason. I've noticed with the rain they had this week, they took a lot of that loose dirt off the top. It's a little more, it's not as deep and rutted as we've seen in the past, but it's a little more choppy. So I think it's caught some of these guys off and maybe just trying to get comfortable with the way the bike is moving out there.
Yeah, kind of the natural surface is just hard clay, but they used to truck in a lot of sand, and they did again this year, but been 28 straight days of rain leading up to this race. So what you do, you fix a motocross track, you take the bulldozers and scrape all the mud off the top. That means you're generally scraping off all that really good soil. It's unrideable. So now you're down to the base.
Yeah, you can see on these sections they land. Basically, the shinier the dirt looks, the slicker it is. See those sections that come to turns, you see it's a little bit brighter or lighter, if you want to call it that. And then they have to throw water on, like through here. And that's when you saw some of these guys really just swapping back and forth, because there are still ruts out there. Trust me, this track is still rough. It's an AMA Motocross National brought to you by Lucas Oil. But for a national, it's not as rough as we've seen in the past.
Yeah, well, this corner right here used to be pure sand. Now you can see it's just that hard, flat surface as they've scraped all the mud off. It's really impressive, though. Everyone was just anticipating a mudder here. That's not really a factor much at all, as Nelson in second has lost a little bit of ground, about a second and a half to your leader, Jeremy Martin. Martin on the Yamaluke Star Racing Yamaha. It's a Lucas Oil Troy Lee Designs KTM for Nelson and a Red Bull KTM for Musquin in third. This is Nelson's teammate Mitchell Oldenburg. Gonna watch this here.
Watch him on the outside, closest to the camera. Comes down this hill. We're talking about how slick it is. Watch the front end, just tucks, and then you can see it's a little shiny, and that's because they put moisture, and there was no rut or berm to really get some plant with that tire tread, and just lost the front end. Really easy to happen in these opening laps, especially when these guys are trying to push hard, but you have to be a little cautious in some of these areas. Right where these guys are coming up to now, Marvin going to the outside. Let's see how he handles this. He drags the brakes. You can tell how slick it is. He tiptoes through there, even looks over his shoulder. That for him felt so slow. He was worried about being passed.
Did lose a little ground, though, to Nelson. And Nelson trying his best to keep Martin honest and lurking in fourth, not too far back. Oh, just I said that he loses a little bit of ground is Zach Osborne of the Husqvarna, but Osborne must have made a mistake coming out of that corner. Heck, they're all making mistakes in these runs.
This track is a little unorthodox, as in what we're used to seeing up here at Lakewood, Colorado.
And Musquin trying to get it back on Nelson. They've exchanged bobbles, and that has allowed, you see, Martin to slip away. Behind Osborne, you have Smith in fifth, Savacci sixth. He's got around Hampshire, who's 7th. Cincerillo, Aldridge, and Christian Craig, who we mentioned was our Bud Light Fast Qualifier. He is 10th. Then it's Peters, McElrath, Plessinger, Bishalia, and Rensland 15th. Musquin looks racy, wants to go after Nelson for 2nd.
Marvin right now pulling through tear-offs, eating that roost, wants to get around Nelson. Nelson, oh!
Nelson off the side of the track.
Oh, that could have been, yeah. Beautiful grass they lay on the side of the hill there, but I mean, we've seen in the past, you know, sometimes when they straight mud off, you get a land in a big pile of mud. You just never know. But Nelson, that could have been a lot worse than it was. All that happened was he probably lost about 5 to 10 bike lengths.
And he loses 2nd place as Musquin says, thank you, I didn't have to really work the pass, I just have it. We'll see if Nelson can now hold off Osborne, who is 4th. Is this a showdown we've been waiting for? Martin and Marvin.
It's basically it's Marvin's battle to create. He's a points leader. He can see Jeremy Martin in front of him, and there's nothing better than if someone trying to hunt someone down when you can see a competitor up ahead. So for Marvin, this has got to be extra motivation. I think for these guys too, I think the mental battle is probably, you know, a little leaning in Jeremy Martin's favor. I think he believes he's the fastest guy, and I think Marvin knows, hey, I had a little bit of luck. That's why I have the points here. I got to beat him straight up. Let's see if he can do it. We have 22 minutes plus 2 laps to do it. Let's see what happens.
3.5 seconds is the gap that Jeremy Martin has over Marvin Musquin. Who is going to come out on top? Now we're headed east. Round 4 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship comes up next week. It's the Tennessee National outside of Bristol, Tennessee. That's round 4. You can catch First Motos live next Saturday at 12 Eastern. Of course, right here on MAV TV. Jeremy Martin would like to be a little bit closer in the point standings by the time we get to Muddy Creek next weekend. He is 19 points behind Marvin Musquin in the standings coming into today's racing. But a lot of that, the byproduct of some terrible luck last week in California. He's trying to right all the wrongs right now. Got that motorsport.com whole shot, and Musquin's in 2nd, but he has not been able to match the pace that Martin has thrown down right now. A little over 3.5 seconds is the gap. It was 3.5, it was 3.9, now it's 3.7. Plenty of time for Musquin here to try to close in. See the countdown clock at the top of the screen, 19 minutes, and then we'll throw the 2 laps to go sign out. Is this type of track where the lines are going to change a lot during the moto? Is there a chance that you just keep experimenting and something starts to fall in your favor? Can Musquin start to close in, you think?
Well, Musquin's not been able to close in on Jeremy Martin, and J-Mart's shown a little more pace this season, but we have seen a lot of mistakes in the early part of this race, and I'm not sure if that slowed these guys down. Let's have a look at the replay. We're talking about some of these mistakes. Watch Marvin on the inside. See that? Oh, swapping. We've seen a lot of that from multiple riders. Nelson gets cross-rutted off the side of the track. Got off very easy there. And then we see, this is Brees. Now watch him. I mean, that's like aerobatic stuff there. Probably looked a little more spectacular than it was. And then Savachi right there, kind of out of the camera angle, but trying to set up in those ruts at the top of the hill, just doesn't get the bike settled in. So a lot of top guys make mistakes, and I think you see
another one.
They're still, it's almost like, I think with the rain, you got this moisture underneath. It's drying out on top, but it's kind of just, you know, throwing these guys off a little bit. And I honestly think they went up with a little bit different suspension and setup and the whole package, and realizing with all this change, like you said, Jason, taking a lot of that loose topsoil off, it's changed things up. Now we see Nelson coming through, and then Zach Osborne. So we've talked about him in some of the opening rounds, Jason, saying, when are we going to see Zach Osborne show us his full potential? And I think with a decent start, he's knocking on the door of that podium finish. It'll be his first of the season.
Yeah, Osborne always comes into the year with a lot of promise. We know he's fast outdoors. He has been snake bit time and time again. Last year, big first turn crash the first round of the year.
Yeah.
Broken thumb. Really had no chance to show what he had. This year coming in healthy and ready. And, by the way, he has been living at Eli Tomac's house in Colorado the last couple of weeks. That's where he's going to stay all summer. So he's comfortable at this altitude. Yeah, he's going after Nelson for third.
There's Jordan Smith,
yep.
the 126. We saw him have some troubles in practice. Actually got a tough block cover, big, plastic cover, advertising cover in his rear wheel that got sucked in, got caught up in the brakes, created a lot of issues for him. But right now, for Smith, this is a solid ride for a youngster, especially with these tough conditions, the altitude. I know we got a long day going on, but if he can hold on to this, it'd be a fantastic ride for the youngster.
Yeah, be a career high for him. And then the fellow rookie, Geico Honda teammate of Smith, RJ Hampshire, is 6th. They've been in this position for much of the race. Savacci had gotten around Hampshire, but then as you saw, he went down. So the next rider, Hampshire, might have... Oh, hold on to that thing, RJ. Next rider we'll have to battle with, that's Adam Cincerillo on the 50 in green. And then another Kawasaki, that's Chris Aldridge. And behind him, another Geico Honda, is Matt Michaelis. So the Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki's and the Geico Hondas are going at it. Oh, that's Craig.
Yeah, Craig having a great moto. We were wondering, look at this, he goes around the outside, stays out of those deep ruts. Can he get it down on the inside?
Oh, he's going to... How much drive can he have?
No, he got a little cross rider there.
Yep.
Man, these bikes are dancing around all over the place. Guys on the edge, trying everything, but I've got to say, really impressed with Christian Craig. Oh, our points leader is down.
Wow. Well, we kept talking about the mistakes that this track is breeding, and this is a massive changeup.
And what is that on the ground? He has blown something off. I don't know if that was the crossbar pad. Oh, bike stalled. He's hitting that start button. What came off there?
Crossbar pad is still there. Goggles look to
look
be
how
intact.
twisted the front end is. It's twisted.
Yeah, it is.
You can see how twisted that bike is. This could be...
He looks to be hurt. He's twisting that wrist.
You know where he crashed?
Clutch lever is down.
Was coming down that hill, Weege. We talk about the big braking maps. This is going to be detrimental to the point standing. Our points leader.
All right, I think he was just adjusting his gloves. I hope. You can get mud in there, or the glove can actually partially come off. Or is his left hand or wrist hurting? His clutch lever looks to be almost toast, just flapping around there.
Well, you can see the bars are bent. And when you can see that from the outside, you know he's having a hard time just trying to go straight. Look at him. You see the balance is off because that whole right-hand side, you can tell his throttle hand looks almost like a speedway bike where they slant it in like the old Harleys.
Wow.
But this is huge. This is a big, big, big points changing moto for Marvin Muscan.
Going by him is the 40. That would be McElrath, 14th. So he's going to be out of the top 20 with a few more positions and just cannot get the bike straightened out. Probably hoping to get to that Frag Mechanics area to do it. But unfortunately, about 3/4 of a lap he's got to put in before he's there.
And part of it, too, is I think that bike is so twisted, he can't even go fast.
Yeah.
You can see the throttle side definitely swapped. He's battling with his balance, and that's really hard.
15 minutes to go in this moto, and you can save 15% or more on your insurance. Give Geico a call. In 15 minutes, they could do that for you. Boy, this is going to feel like it took 15 minutes for Muscan to get around to the mechanics area. He's trying to uncork it here a little bit.
Yeah, he's in pain. The bike's twisted. I think he wished he had bought some Geico insurance for this first moto because he looks like he's going to get a big goose egg, 0 points, which means if Martin stays where he is, we have a new points leader again.
Incredible.
He didn't pull in the pits, though. That's weird.
Well, that leads me to wonder then if it's not the bike being twisted as much as he is hurting, and he knows the mechanics aren't going to be able to do anything about that. Now Daniel Baker, a rookie, is battling with him, and that is 16th place they're fighting for right now. Muscan, he's going to lose a ton of points. The question is how many, and can he get back up to race pace? While Jeremy Martin gets away, a disaster for your series points leader. Well, what a entry into the series for the 68 of Christian Craig. He's the replacement rider on Geico Honda for the injured Justin Bogle, and he has come out on fire. In practice today, the fastest qualifier of all, the Bud Light Fast Qualifier Award goes to him, and he is making up ground in chunks in this first moto. He is in 8th right now, trying to get Chris Aldridge for 7th, and the fear with Craig is we didn't know what kind of shape this guy would be in. Was only planning on coming back to race in about a month at Redbud. Because of the Bogle injury, he has come back early. At least so far, fitness not an issue. He's moving forward.
And he looks good doing it, Jason. I'm actually really impressed with Christian Craig. As he scrubs it up the inside, he's got the inside line to the corner. Can Aldridge do anything? You see Craig uses those long legs. You're talking about it earlier. He's only raced 450 outdoors because he's a bigger kid. Great beautiful natural style. But I have to say, I'm really, really impressed with Christian Craig's race pace. Really impressive.
Georgia, what do you got on the 68?
Yeah, I went and spoke to him this morning, and he was super excited to be here. And I spoke to his wife Paige for a while, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I got these racing nerves back," because they've been off for a year, just over a year. They had their first child called Jagger, and when I interviewed him earlier, he said, "Oh damn, I forgot to say hi to Jagger." So I had to say hi to Jagger for that reason. But he said, he's been working a full-time job, but it's time now that he's back to racing. I think he's actually quit his job, and he's been spending his time training again. And I just couldn't believe it. He really loved the sport, and he's back again.
Yeah, he had put out his official retirement before the 2014 season, but he's got some connections. His wife, Paige, her dad is one of the co-owners of this team, so he had a bike to ride, was riding well last summer, decided, you know what, I'll race a bit for fun. So he raced some 450 races in the second half of last season and actually got in the top 10. And was planning on doing that same program again this year, racing the second half at a 450. Now that Bogle's hurt, they bumped him up to the 250s. And I'll tell you, he never raced a 250 class. He went straight to the 450s. That might have been a mistake, because he's showing he can ride this little bike maybe even better than the 450.
Yeah, he looks great right now. In fact, he looks like he's got moves like Jagger, just like his boy.
Nice.
He looks super comfortable going this pace. I love the way he uses those legs as suspension, stands a lot, not following Aldridge, but it looks to me like it's only a matter of time before he gets around Aldridge. Maybe he's just having a quick breather, because sometimes it gets really intense. You have to take a breath. Right there, he's really good all over the back of Aldridge. We take a little look further back. Behind Craig, next rider in line should be Matt Michaelia. There he comes into the screen, about to hit the Fly Racing step down.
And then Savacci should be right behind him. Savacci crashed earlier. Good recovery. He's in 10th and moving forward, trying to get Michaelia right now.
See a few lappers coming into play, but staying out of the way, letting the leaders go and battle for position. Even though we're a little deeper in the top 10, these guys going for every single position they could possibly get.
Savacci's had some good first motos this year, a 4th at Hangtown and a 3rd last week at Glen Helen, but his old boss over there, Mitch Payton, you know what it's like to ride for the guy. He's pretty much not satisfied until his guys are winning. He told me this morning, he's like, yeah, some of the bosses over here don't think I'm getting the results that they want me to get. We all want to win over here. And he was fast in practice, but another quick little tip over has cost him any chance of winning this one. Now Savacci in 10th. He's trying to salvage some points.
I think Mitch gets a little bit of bad rap sometimes about only supporting winners. I have to say, after being involved with that team and riding for them, Mitch Payton will give you all the time of day if you are putting in 100%.
Okay.
Win or lose, I mean, I've seen guys have bad days in that, and he's given them all the attention he possibly can. Mitch is you give me 100%, I'll give you 100%, and we hope that'll work out. And if it doesn't, well, we'll try next time.
He knows when he's getting the potential out of his riders, it sounds like. Let's go back to Marvin Muscan.
Yeah, you see that bike's twisted, Jason. Sorry to interrupt you there, but that's why he keeps standing it up in these turns, because the whole, front end is tweaked up. But he is in 14th position, which is crucial, because the way it stands, he will retain the points lead, I believe, by about 1 point. The way they stand right now. Let's have a look at the replay. Yeah, I'm going to circle this on the floor. Yeah, you see that? We thought that might have been the crossbar pad, but if you actually look, when Marvin moves around, he wears one of those neck braces, and I think from the crash, it blew the whole front of the neck brace off, which leads me to believe he hit hard. You see him shaking his head. He's probably seeing double, feeling single right now, and just trying to get his bearing back, get on the bike. That's why I think it took him a little while. I think he rung his bell a little bit there, and at the base of that hill, that is a bad spot. You don't want to crash there, because the only thing that's going to happen is you're going downhill into braking bumps, which usually means the bike chases you and slams you into the ground. But a heroic ride that he's still out there. Marvin, a warrior, just like this guy, number 1, J-Mart, back where he feels he belongs, out front, doing his thing, looks very comfortable. This is where he likes to be, Jason. He just clicks off the laps and looks robotic.
He's in clean air, too. He had that whole shot and no pressure, no one around him at all. Nelson, 18 seconds back in second. Let's show you how Martin got this motosport.com whole shot with the replay.
Yeah, he just gets a good drive up the inside. Doesn't quite get to the first turn. He's side by side with Nelson, but just carries a nice little arc through that corner. Crosses that finish line by about half a bike length. And there you see it. Jeremy Martin on the number 1. Clearly gets that whole shot, gets his motorsport.com whole shot award. And of course, as you can tell, we always talk about it in racing, and it's sometimes, I think people think it's overused, but starts make your life so much easier when you're out front. When you're trying to hustle through the pack, that's when bad things happen.
Well, this guy will tell you that. He was last in both motos last week and had to pass a lot of riders. So he knows it's a night and day difference between what he had last weekend and this weekend. And that includes also now the scenario that is broken out for Musquin, who is, like we said, 14th. That'll score him 7 points. That'll be just enough to hold the points lead over Martin at the end of this one. But we will have a second moto later today. You can watch it on NBCSN. And I've got to wonder, will Musquin be 100% able to bounce back in that moto, or is he hurting from what we assume was a pretty nasty crash?
Well, sometimes your adrenaline takes over and you're able to finish this, and you go back to the truck and your neck or your, something hip just tightens up, stiffens up as you cool down, and all of a sudden you can't even move. And hopefully that's not the case. We wanted to see a great battle. Both these guys have had to deal with situations, crashes. Yeah. Jeremy's had some mechanical. Marvin at this point has not, but we've actually seen some mechanical issues from almost every team, whether it's been a Yamaha or a KTM, depending which rider and which class you're talking about. And that's just a part of motocross. I mean, these guys are hammering around the roughest terrain as hard as they can, putting these bikes to the limit. There's bound to have something happen.
Pretty crazy season, actually, so far with some of the stuff we've seen happen. So we're not too far outside of Denver, Colorado. Who's going to head back to the airport tonight celebrating a victory and carry the big trophy? We'll find out. Battle on our hands for second place now. Jesse Nelson is second, but slowly but surely Zach Osborne closing back in. They've had moments where they were close, and then Nelson pulls back ahead. But Osborne going for second in this one now on the Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna. This would be a huge shot in the arm for him. He's needed to build some momentum. It has been a rough couple of seasons of injuries. But as we mentioned before, he has been living in Eli Tomac's house in Colorado at elevation the last month or so. Certainly going to help him late in this moto.
Well, training at elevation actually produces more white blood cells that flow through your blood, and that creates oxygen for your muscles. And the reason that is because when the air is thinner, you just produce less. So when you train up here, these guys, when they go to sea level, I mean, they got so much oxygen flowing through their lungs and their body that they're good. So this is really good for training. You always hear about whether it's mountain bikers or athletes, whether it's Lance Armstrong in the day, whatever sport, they would train because it stretches those lungs. So when they come to an event like this, his breathing probably just feels very normal. I know for a fact there's guys out there that are sucking wind, not because they're out of shape, but sometimes that diaphragm of the chest is just going back and forth real quick. Your heart rate's close to 200 beats a minute, and the air is thinner, and you're riding the bike as hard as you can. But you see the flip side. Zach Osborne, he looks very comfortable, very relaxed actually, as he's sitting here in third place. And I got to give a little shout out. I think it's kind of really cool to see Husqvarna back in the mix. Now we've got the big six of the manufacturers. So the Japanese coming out a lot of pressure from the European manufacturers as we look at the points, the results, the races. It makes it really fun.
Next up should be Cincerillo, so a good little comeback for him.
Yeah, really good comeback.
Yeah, he was 8th and 9th a lot of this race. He is now 4th, and behind him, the two rookies for the Geico Honda team, Smith and, actually no, it's no longer Hampshire, it's Craig. Craig is still moving forward. Craig's got Aldridge. Craig is trying to get Jordan Smith, and he wants to follow Cincerillo forward.
He may have got him. I think Craig did. He got him. Christian Craig is riding on the gas, and we look at the last lap times around. Smith was at 21. The top 5 were in the 2-minute 19s, but the fastest guy on the track, Christian Craig. Put the couch away.
Going on?
He got off the lazy boy to get off a get on a Geico Honda, and he is really riding well. Cincerillo, this seems to be a bit of a Kawasaki theme.
Yeah, Aldridge had it last week, that side plate hanging off, and Craig is not waiting for anybody. He's going to try to take 4th away. Are you kidding me? Fastest qualifier, and then potentially 4th or at least 5th in this moto for a guy who really had no plans on racing this event up until about a week ago.
Wow, this is unbelievable what we're seeing right now. I would have never predicted this, Jason. Christian Craig is really blowing my mind. Look at him. He went through the turn on the rear wheel. Looked at the pit board. Cincerello is the most hyped and winningest amateur rider. As a 2-lap card comes out, he's expected to be here. Christian Craig quit his job to replace Justin Bogle. Look at this. They were side by side going for it.
Everywhere Cincerello goes, he's got to deal with heat from Craig, who's working him inside, outside. He's going to try outside here through the first turn. Jump off this hill.
He's got it.
4th place for Christian Craig.
Wow. This is cool to see. This just shows you, chase your dreams, never give up. Give it everything you got. Welcome back, Christian Craig. Phenomenal ride. And hey, no slouch. Adam Cincerello is moving it. This is a great result for him. Remember, he said don't expect too much too soon. He might be suffering a little bit in the physical conditioning because, like I said, when you're up at altitude, it's a different kettle of fish. And sometimes if you don't get your breathing right in the beginning, you start hyperventilating, and that just leads to you can't concentrate, you make mistakes, you start feeling weak and tired.
Oh, the riders call it having a tongue in the spokes, like a basset hound, just a tongue hanging out over the front of the bike, just trying to hang on, breathing hard. It's going to affect everyone in different ways. I did talk to Cincerello this morning. He said he definitely feels like he's getting stronger. Thinks he has a moto and a half in him. He knows he's not going to be good for 30+2 in both, but honestly, whatever Cincerello's dealt with, and that's a lot of injuries and trying to come back, Craig was less prepared than just about anybody for this race. So it shows sometimes it's not just about what you do in the gym. If you're just in that zone?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on right here?
You know, Christian Craig might be one of those riders that didn't probably get really the credit he deserved because he didn't go out and win and dominate and get titles, but he had raw speed. And speaking of raw speed, our number 1 of J-Mart, who's now basically at a 20-second lead, gets the white flag. Just another day at the office for him.
Well, it's going to be a double shot of good news for him. He knows he's going to win the moto if he hangs on, but wait till he gets the news that Musquin has had trouble. Musquin's still 14th, so he's going to make up almost all of the 19-point lead that Musquin had on him. I think he'll make up 18, and he was down 19, so it'll be nearly a dead heat by the time this moto is over.
Yeah, if things don't change, according to my calculation, I'm not a mathematician.
Well, the rider that's right behind Musquin is actually Alex Martin, Jeremy's brother, who had that problem with the front suspension and the whole shot device early. He has come from last to 15th. He's the rider behind Musquin now, so he could potentially help his brother get a share of the points lead if he can make a pass. Paddling through those ruts is J-Mart.
Oh, I bet you when Alex Martin sees the number 25 in front of him, he doesn't need a pit board, he doesn't need anything. That's motivation, because deep down, you know that old saying, blood is thicker than water. And he'd rather see his brother win than you know, somebody else. So, and they're both Yamaha riders, good kids. The Martin boys, real ambassadors for the sport. Just like Marvin and a lot of these kids, the modern day kids are growing up. They get taught at a young age how to deal with the pressure, you know, how to conduct yourself in public, all this. So a lot of these guys, you can't say much negative. As Martin just cruising around, see the fans applauding, they know what they're witnessing. They're witnessing someone who's creating history. For such a youngster, Jason, this guy is really changing the whole record books.
Yeah, absolutely. His first full pro season was top 5 in the points, and last year's second full year won the title. He has eligibility all the way through next year in the 250, so he could try to win it again this year and even come back next year.
Well, I think if you're J-Mart, you want to get a Supercross title, whether it's the East or West Coast, you want to win indoor as well. He's shown us what he can do in motocross, but every rider wants to win no matter where or when he lines up. And he's going to get this first moto win here today.
And make up a ton of points while he's doing it. Got an 18-second lead at the moment over now, I believe, Osborne, who has snuck into the second place spot. Checker flag is out. Jeremy Martin is back and wins here at Colorado. They're going back and forth for second and third, Nelson and Osborne. Here we go. It is... That's a lap
that
rider.
Nelson in the background?
I think he got it. Yes, he did. And there's a lap rider splitting them. Zach Osborne, well done. Boy, did he need that one to get some momentum. You see the fist pump, second place in the moto, and Nelson's got to be bummed just like last week. The last lap has led to Nelson's undoing. He has actually been coming back from injury. He knows he's not quite 100%. Take a podium when you can get it, but he would rather have had second. We're back. We just completed the first 250 moto of the day here at Thunder Valley. Let's show you big battles early, and they really were fighting the track as much as each other. Jesse Nelson, here he is in second place, bounces off the track. Marvin Musquin takes over second place, and then he's going to have a crash a little later. This is Ryan Brees going down. Joey Savacci. It just kept piling up, and then finally the big one, Musquin in second, your series points leader, would eventually finish this one in 14th. Lost a lot of time trying to shake out the cobwebs, get back up front. Through all of this, Jeremy Martin had grabbed the whole shot, took off, and wins the first moto. He's the defending series champ. Came into this race with a 19-point deficit and gained a lot of that ground back because of the loss for Musquin. Let's send it down to Georgia with Jeremy Martin.
Yes, the Jeremy Martin that we all know and love is back here at Thunder Valley with a very good lead there in that race. You started with a whole shot, which must be important, and after last week with the bike troubles you had, must feel good to be on the top step of the podium. But you did say the track's kind of rough right now.
Yeah, like you said, it felt good to get the whole shot and just kind of ride my own race. It was nice not to have to pull a tear off after the second turn, and it was nice to start with those guys actually in front of them instead of like way behind. So it was good. The track's pretty gnarly. It's got a really hard feel to it, but then the ruts are soft in the bottom with a lot of chop. So you got to be on your toes, and it's a tricky track. I mean, I had a few close calls, and I'm sure everyone else did too. So I just can't thank the man up above enough. And my mechanic Pedro, Chad back home, Ricky Carmichael, Johnny O, Blue Crew, YZ250F, Yamaha Dunlop, Yamalu, Rockstar, Answer Bell, 100%, FMF, Mickey Thompson Tires, Garnet, Deegan 38, KYB and Enzo, and my mom and dad.
Perfect. Well, congratulations. Well done, Jeremy Martin, on that first moto win.
And getting himself right back in it, because you will not see Musquin here in the top 10. Zach Osborne, awesome ride for second, and Jesse Nelson. That's his first actual moto podium of the year. He was on the overall podium last week after a pair of fourths. And how about Christian Craig?
Really impressed.
Wow, fourth place. Impressive, and he had to come from behind to do it. Started at about 10th. Cincerillo, pretty solid performance. That's actually his best of the year so far with a 5th. Let's send it back to Georgia.
Yes, and it is great to see Zach Osborne on the podium in that second place. You absolutely tore down Jesse Nelson. You got him towards the end of the race. You've been staying in Colorado, so that kind of means you may be acclimated to this kind of altitude, and you've been training with Eli Tomac. Do you think that has made a change to your performance this weekend?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's great to be here in Colorado. I love this place, and I enjoy this track. So I'm thankful to be up here. I thank the Lord for keeping me safe. It's a tough track today. It's got a lot of bumps and a lot of funky little grooves and ruts in it. So I'm looking forward to the second moto. I have to thank Rockstar Husqvarna and just all my team who's been behind me this whole time. It's been a really rough start to the season. My wife for standing behind me, practice mechanic Tanner, John Tomac, everyone just has been behind me during the rough time, so it feels good to let it pay off today.
Perfect. Congratulations. Well done, Zach.
And we'll see if Osborne can follow it up in our second motos. We'll have them at 11 p.m. Eastern today on NBC SN. We'll have a highlight show at midweek, and then we're going to Muddy Creek in Tennessee next weekend. We'll have our debut on NBC this year with our second 450 moto. Let's send it back to Georgia.
Yes, Jesse Nelson, congratulations. Third place here at Thunder Valley in that first moto. Towards the end of the race, Zach was chasing you down a little bit, and he did manage to pass you, but you held second up for quite a while. Do you think the altitude got to you in that second place, and that's why you let Zach pass?
I don't know. Zach has been training with Eli in Colorado, so maybe that was it. I don't know. I felt like I rode a pretty good race and got a great start, and I don't know. There's not a whole lot to complain about. I mean, yeah, I did have a little mess up and let second get away, but each weekend I'm getting better, so just slowly building away.
Well, we're seeing you up on this podium quite a lot now, so congratulations, Jesse Nelson.
Thank you.
The first two races of the 2015 season have been all about Eli.
He dominates Moto 2. Eli Tomac leaving no doubt who the man is here at Hangtown. Does it again. Eli Tomac dominates Glen Helen.
When our live coverage of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship continues on MAV TV, we catch up with the points leader, Eli Tomac, in a motorsport.com rider profile.